Hey, hi, hello, everyone. Welcome to the BINACT podcast where we talk music, the people that make it, and the communities that listen to it.
Don't go on your soft voice now while you're doing the intro. No,
Look, that's what my brain does. Let me be great, okay?
I want
Because
you to be
I'm
great, but
stressed out.
I'm also mad over here.
I'm stressed out.
Look,
Why
we
did I
go
do
go into
this?
intro and I'll explain to the listeners while I'm viewers why I'm kind of mad right now.
Well, okay, so we're back. I think the last episode we released, no, we were together. We just our schedule was a little bit off. That's why it feels off. Feels like it's been a while since we recorded. Um, but we are back and we're better. Except I don't really like Bryson Tiller like that. So yeah, we're here. Um before we started recording, uh I realized that a couple episodes ago we did what we call like music homework, or I'm going to fact check my own self and remember what we titled this segment, but I don't think we came up with a name. Um but we listened to Salt, the band that we are well we AD discovered through an artist that we were both familiar with, Cleo
Cleo
Soul,
Soul.
and we like listened to the band, so it was a new listening for the both of us. They released, or they put their music out on the internet for download. So what they did was they released their albums um for download, like the MP3s, for free. And they did it for 5 days, and I heard about it last week. And I was like, yeah, I just need to sit down on my computer and do it, because I had it on my phone. Like, I had the little tab, the Google Chrome tab up on my phone, and it was a password. And now, how somebody found the password, I don't know, but it was shared with me in a Discord server where I forgot that AD is not a part of said Discord server. So I
Mm-hmm.
had intended on downloading the music to my computer, but I kept forgetting. I kept forgetting to sit at my physical PC, which, whatever. So, but I had the password, just didn't download the music, and I could have had the MP3s, and I did not. So I'm upset because I let the password expire and now I don't have MP3s. So
You see how
sad.
you,
Sad.
listeners, viewer, you see how I do this? I bring I bring salt to the table. I bring certain things to the table. And all I ask in return is just to say it's the same due diligence, the same courtesy of just saying, hey, you talked about this. Hey, I got the link.
I
Hey,
honestly forgot.
why don't you do this? Instead of throwing up every Spotify link that you could think of.
I forgot. Okay, I forgot. I truly. I mean, obviously, I don't have the music either. I really did forget. Like,
See, I needed a little seasoning in my life.
I am very sad that I missed that. Like, I am hurt, distraught. I'm distraught because I wanted the files on my computer. I did. I don't remember the last time I've kept like an MP3 music library, but I was gonna keep it.
Before I just opened up um my library on YouTube Music because that's where I just uploaded a lot of the stuff that I had just to keep. And wow, I need to really update
I
it.
haven't, like I said, I have not downloaded a, or like, kept up with, I haven't kept up with truly MP3 music in a long time. Actually, one of those times, um, I lost a hard drive, but this was ages ago. Like, my hard drive went down, and I lost all my music in between. Like, I have a old hard drive from around all of that time back. I think that was like 2010, 2011, like my younger era. Um, I had a hard drive full of music. I lost it. So that was like mixtape Wayne and like all that stuff. Like all of that was on that, or it might still be on his hard drive, but I doubt it. So my hard drive crashed, and then I was streaming mostly, so I didn't really have MP3s anywhere. And so I just kind of stopped actually collecting MP3s, and then I also wasn't using iTunes like that. So my MP3, like my actual MP3 library, what or is still very low if it exists at all. And then now I'm buying CDs and vinyls and stuff. So like the digital files don't exist. I have the physical, like CDs or vinyls, or I have my old MP3s from ages ago. Actually, and I think I still have some iTunes purchases. So my iTunes library didn't really go down. But anyways, speaking of which, that just kind of reminded me about why iTunes pissed me off, because remember, you used to be able to like bring your MP3s to iTunes, and then iTunes kind of made like their library, like you can't rip the MP3s. I don't know if you remember that, but like when you buy something on iTunes, they're not actually MP3 files, or like it's hard to find or
That's a
whatever.
M. That's a M. That's a M4A file or something. It's
It's
some.
something, but like the when you buy it on iTunes, like
It's special. Especially yeah. Because I checked.
yeah, like
Because
you can't just have the like even though you've purchased it, it's still not your actual digital file, which I
yeah.
always
That
thought was stank.
yeah. Yeah.
It
That's
started out that's how you like, you could keep the MP3s, like you had a digital library of music. But then, as iTunes progressed and got more fancy, it was like, nah, your library is housed in our like it's an iTunes library, it's not yours. And I remember when I used to buy things on Amazon Music, Amazon will let you keep the MP3s. I don't know if they still do, but they
I think
used
they
to.
still do. I think last time I used it, but that's been a while. Shoo,
It's
that
been,
reminds me.
right, it's been a while since
I
I've
got
used
check.
Amazon.
I got to check if that album is at for English is still on my Amazon. Because what you call it, YouTube Music, or well, it's not YouTube Music, but it was Google Play.
Oh,
Used to you could used to be able to just upload your stuff into a library. It's still a thing, but now it's
oh,
like,
that's nice.
but they can't. But now because that's been shut down, it's
Mhm.
been migrated to YouTube Music, and just that interface is kind of weird to me. And I got like a lot of my stuff, but I like the MP3s because I used to be able to get a lot of dancehall and reggae,
Yeah.
like in real time.
Right, 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 right.
In real
That's
time,
where
or
like an MP3, especially because like that type of music, it's like it comes directly from the area it's coming from, but like, it's that's normally not even on streaming services quickly, or like it's harder to
yeah, because
find. So
it's like yo, it's like it takes so long, but somebody is either. And that's the other thing is I used to be able to find them, like I said, real time. I used to check up on various
like
websites
yeah, the different
and
mixtapes, and you just downloaded it and then you had it.
either download it or I was able to find the distributor website. So it was
Mhm.
like literally just kind of do a little cross referencing, and I was able to do the previews. So I could able to say, oh, I like this, and basically do the download and have everything made like a shit ton of CDs and stuff like that.
Right.
But now it's just like I know everything's on the streaming service, but it's just something
It's just
different.
annoying.
Yeah.
Music libraries are ridiculous. But that brings me to a point before we get to homework that I said this quietly on the Bird app, which I don't know how much longer anybody's going to be anythinging on the Bird app, but
Everybody, let's just say this: unless he I'm still on the bird app, but unless he does something really ridiculous, because as much as people want to say it's two theories, it's two schools of thoughts, but he didn't want to buy it. He tried to do a power play. And then once he found out of how much it cost, he tried to back out of it. They called his bluff and said basically, all right, you're in charge now, and we're gone. Bye bye. And you're hearing all the horror stories of
truthfully, I don't care
everybody's.
about the white man side of the acquisition, to be quite honest with you. I don't
You
care
got
about the
stop being racy.
No, I mean the white man being like the business side of the scenario, like the money side. I don't care about that shit. And I don't care about that side. All I know is that you know what? Sidebar to the original point that I was about to make. Social media is a clusterfuck right now.
Yes,
Um,
and as we're recording this election day.
oh yeah, fuck. I mean, no, I damn sure wasn't talking about that.
I'm
Um,
I'm just letting know it's
yes, we're
going.
on a yeah, we're recording not on our we're not norm we normally record on Thursdays. Today we're recording on Tuesday and it's election day, so we're recording on that day.
And
Um
I'm sure it's a shit show right now. Oh, sorry, can't. I don't know how many times did we cuss already
no,
before
but you know
YouTube
what?
takes us down.
Side note to that point, YouTube does not like three black people on screen. I'm telling you for a fact. Because when I load us or I load myself, it doesn't flag. So I'm just putting that out there that
It's pro-
YouTube does not like three black people on
no,
screen.
it's gotta be the language. I think you
It's
can't. I
not
think
because when you
no,
and
I can't. I
I
think it's a no. I think it's a language because I've seen other creators and said that like yo, it's like a you can't cuss within a certain amount of time, and then once that time's gone, you're free to go all willy nilly.
but that doesn't make sense because I feel like we cuss less when we have guests.
Oh, that's
The
guess, but
logic, or like when I say guess, because it does not flag when it's you and I sitting here. So the same amount of language that I use, or the same amount of language that you use, you and I go through perfectly fine with
oh that
nothing going on. But when there is a third person in the video, or even by myself, like when I record minisodes, I think I've loaded either one or two minisodes now to YouTube. It doesn't flag for that like 18 plus only or whatever the fuck. Anyways, fuck you, YouTube. I don't care. What
it's
you want to fight me?
algorithm.
Fight me.
We're battling an algorithm. We're battling a computer.
So back to the first side point. Social media is a clusterfuck. It's crazy right now. So, but what I was saying on the Bird app is that I've quietly become a like 95 to like 99.9% albums only music listener. I don't know how I got here. And not that I'm particularly against it or anything, but like playlist, even my own curated playlist, I don't like them. I don't hate them. It's just like I like the body of work better. For instance, when I
Mm.
wake up in the morning, like I used to have a playlist where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna put some coffee on and listen to this playlist. I think
Oh,
I
that
just
must be nice. Just waking up, just putting on music, like just a vibe, and not feel like you're having a rush or be pulled in 20 different directions.
I
With
mean, you know what? I will tell you that it is nice because morning shift is not that's not my jam. Morning shift is not my jam. So, um the roll out of bed, get the kids to school is not the jam. It's a very short jam in this house. It's not long, but um I don't do that. So, I do get to wake up I'll say relatively peacefully. I get to wake up slow because I work from home, thankfully, and prayerfully, and I'm grateful for that. But that playlist to me is like I almost kind of don't like it. Like having a daily playlist. Now, a daily album I could see myself having, but a
what?
daily
Why?
playlist, I
Yeah, what's wrong? Yeah, you're going down. I'm just trying to figure out where you're going with
I mean, it's
why.
just that it hasn't hit like so when I turn on playlists now, I kind of get bored of like hearing. So, oh, I said like that morning coffee playlist. It's the same for me. So it's like the same 12 songs. I don't necessarily like hearing the same 12 random songs, like even though the playlist is like something that I curated and it makes
Are
me
you
think
paying
about,
for it?
am I paying for it?
There's a reason why, because the lady in my life, she
Uh-huh.
has she has her own she has her own playlist,
Mhm.
and it's literally the same 10 to 12 songs, and I'm trying to figure out why. Why are they just doing that? Is it just because it's a free tier,
No, 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 no.
or
So, I pay for my Spotify, but the kicker I think for me is, and like I said, this evolution, I just kind of noticed it, but also with me buying so I bought my little CD player, which I actually moved in here. You can't see it, but I moved it in here. So my CD player is in here. My vinyl, like my record player, is outside, or in the living room. I mean, I think that I've just become more attached to albums because they make me feel a certain type of way. And it's because I also like it now that I have to. Perfect example. So I pulled these two albums out, like for the YouTube videos. The one in my right hand is Corinne Bailey Rae, which I got autographed by her, fun fact. And then the one in my left hand is FKA Twigs. And so, can I get copyrighted for showing pictures? I don't even know. Anyways,
I don't think
so
so.
I don't know. But I pulled those out. So the next time I listen to my the next time I pop the CD in, I'm popping one of these in. I was like, the next time I want to hear some tunes, I'm in a mood, I want to play these. So they're right next to my CD player. And I realized that me doing that, for one, I love how albums make me feel when I listen to them. And so I think I'm more attached to maybe the dopamine feeling of what the album did for me, as opposed to a playlist where it's and I think I've also just gotten bored, because I don't change my playlist very regularly. Some of those, like that coffee playlist, I've had the same 12 songs on it for months. So it's just it's stale. And sometimes I don't necessarily feel like curating a whole new playlist because my discovery of music isn't changing, but the way that let me think about how I want to say this.
Digest it.
Not necessarily the way that I digest it, but what I do with the music after discovery is different now. I used to be like, oh my gosh, I heard this one song, I'm gonna put it into a playlist. I used to have these big, kind of grandiose things to do with songs when I found them. And now it's kind of I heard a song, maybe I figure out, I find, or actually I heard a song, recommend if we were saying a couple episodes ago, recommend an EP to me so I can hear a full body of work. It's just the what I do with the music and the information is different than it used to be for me. And so
Okay.
albums as a body of work are more interesting to me right now. I think, and it's honestly, huh?
I said I've always been like that. When I don't want to hear a single, I want to hear the full body because I feel like it's very deceptive.
Yeah.
Because then you can be like, all right, is it because you don't know what the vibe is?
Right.
You can tell what's a single, but it's one. But is this a bigger play? And I know you haven't listened to it, but Division's latest project, I forgot what it's called, but
Charge it
it's
to the game? Something
no,
what is it?
no,
I
it's
don't know.
called
I have Google.
something karma.
I don't know. Something.
Blame it on my karma or some shit.
Something like
Anyway,
that.
though,
Something
right?
like that.
Which I would say this, I have to really do my deep dive on that because I this is what I'll say about it. I like what I hear, but I need to really like. Do I like the flow and the subject matter? Because it sounds like it's a story, but is the story connecting with me?
I got
But
mixed. I've heard that it's gotten mixed review, or I'll say the people around me have given it mixed reviews. And
that's
so
that.
I've decided to wait until I'm able to form my own opinion to listen to it. Really. That's why I
But
wasn't rushing to listen to it.
why I say that because when they put out the first single, which everyone was mixed or people
Yeah,
hated
everybody
or
kind of
yeah
looked at it sideways, particularly because
for
I
what
think
but
I
I'm just
think
saying
yeah, I was just gonna say with Division, I think people, just to put it out there, Division was kind of even lauded for being you know, they're modern, but they get R&B. So like the content of that song, like I get why people were pissed because it was
but once you hear it in the flow of
the
the
album.
album, yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, yeah, but
It
maybe pick a better single.
no, now that's it.
And
Now
maybe
look,
pick a better single because
now
I'm sure if that's
that's
the case, if you're telling me that it sounds like that does sound like a song where it's like you did like pull that one out of the album context or whatever. But I mean, Division fucking gave us like Too Deep and stuff like that, and so you and not even that like not even that the song because I don't even remember the single. Like I don't remember what it sounds like honestly.
if I get caught cheating,
I don't.
it
Yeah,
don't mean I don't love you.
I mean, but that is, I guess, the disappointment in it was that wasn't even like good. Like they've made some good music and like good production, like everything back behind it. So to do
I
that,
I would tell you
it's kind of like, you
I would
know,
tell you the two
I
songs after that on the album, right? That's what I say. It's a story, right?
yeah,
But bro, they had Jagged Edge on there, and
maybe
that
it was a
song.
bait and switch. Maybe they were like, we're gonna go left, and then everyone's got to listen
But
to the
sometimes you
next.
can't. But you can't be the smartest guy. You can't. Oh, you can't be the smartest guy in the room. And when you try to do all this thing, it's just let the music talk.
That's
Like
true.
if they came out, and we'll get off this real quick, right? But if they were to just come out with, all right, we're telling a story for the album, right? The first song needs to tell us, right? But it can't be like I said, it can't seem cloudy or whatnot,
It's
right?
almost
Because
like you said, like you ganked that song out of the middle of the album or whatever. And even like when people do stuff like that, maybe even if they could have, because you know, Division's pretty good for interludes. Like, could the single have not just been an interlude? I think it's a bad choice, and it put like a really bad taste in people's mouth. And when you, particularly because Amuse and Her Feelings, is that the name of that album?
yeah,
I didn't fully like. I didn't hate that album, but I also did not love it. So like this was the album to try to catch me back. So like when you, I mean me personally, but like maybe other people, maybe not. When you do those things, it's definitely going to be like so on switch off switch on switch off switch, and that completely turned me off. I wasn't interested, and had you not told me that this album was good, I wouldn't have considered listening to it. I would have been like, okay, not interested.
I think what they're and they have run into that conundrum of what they want to be
True.
because in this album they're working with Brian Michael Cox, Jermaine Dupri, or whatnot. Like you could tell
I
when
heard that
it's
the Jermaine Dupri song's kind of lame, but I'm gonna leave
no,
that
which
alone.
one? Not the one with Jagged Edge because that
I'm
was
gonna
the
leave that
ooh.
alone.
No, but Jermaine Dupri's not on the album. He's doing the
No, I
production.
know. I'm talking about like the things that he had his hands in, but again, that's why I say mixed reviews. Like I heard that some of it's
Well, you
like
gotta depend. I always say depends on who's your source saying those things.
I'm gonna
Because
actually check it out. Before I was writing it off, I wasn't interested previously. I was just gonna let the album exist in the ether. So I may
but I
at
will
some
say
point.
this: the last song, and the song with Jagged Edge. I wish they would go more into that bag. Is the production is right, the storytelling it is there. Like you can see it. You're like, yes. I think what happens to them is they and they stuck in that toxic bag.
Mm,
That's if it was like I said, if you hear it, it makes sense through the scope of the album, whatnot. But they're stuck in that toxic tag, and that bag. But it's like if they just get away from it and just like show the vulnerability and or even just go into those R&B, I want to say tropes, but what we know R&B to be like, you feel like actual feelings. Like Daniel's interlude was very strong. You know, that's why I said is if they would go into that bag a little bit more with a little less of that toxicity and even that sound. it'll be it'll be. I think that'll be their nice point. Like if it was a mix of this last album and their first album and a nice blend of it, I think that could work. But that's
I will come back.
but that's your homework.
I will come back, I guess. I mean, no time soon. Like I
Hmm.
hopefully before the end of the year, fingers crossed, we'll see. Um, but this week, so I mustered up every little piece of my energy to talk about this album because full disclosure, it has been a couple of weeks for my brain and I needed something to like lift me up and I also I think this is what maybe really pushed me over the album only listening exclusivity. I don't know. Um but today I want to talk about Neo's. Nah, I don't want to mess up the album title because yeah, I was gonna skip a word, but Neo's And Then Life Was Beautiful, which she
Hmm.
released in September of last year. So I don't it feels like I remember it coming out and honestly I listened to it a couple times when it came out. And then like we were talking about, like I love the album. I want to start this off by saying I love this album in its entirety. I heard it for the first time when it came out because I was very excited for Neo's album because the last thing she put out was Saturn and Saturn was in 2018. And she has like 3, albums, so like big albums, like bodies of work. So For All We Know came out in 2016, Saturn came out in 2018, and Then Life Was Beautiful came out in 2021. And in between Saturn and Then Life Was Beautiful, she had a baby. Um, yeah, pretty sure that's how that happened. So, this was an anticipated album, and Saturn is just, oh, one day I'll have to talk about Saturn and gush about Saturn. Saturn's really good. So, but now for people who listen to Neo and like follow her heavily, Saturn and Then Life Was Beautiful are 2 different tonal shifts, like in the way that she's singing. All of her song content is, I'll say, generally the same, right? Like it's, love and heartbreak and relationships and like in that bag of R&B, but not, how can I explain it? I feel like she has a very modern way of kind of discussing this. So in Saturn, the theme of the album is kind of like, outer space and like mystic, and it's giving you like a little bit of astrology, like all that type stuff. But she's talking about like relationships and things um in that way. And then For All We Know, which was 2016, it's more between her voice because if you know Neo, she has like a very particular type of singing voice. She's not a whisper singer, but she's like it's just like a very particular tone. Like in the way that Toni Braxton has a tone of voice, Neo has a tone of voice. They're not the same tone, but they're very particular in the way that they sing.
Okay.
Um, but For All We Know was more like playing with interesting alternative R&B production with her voice. So like it was more like almost that her voice plus like the alternativeness of her music was the gimmick in that album. And I say gimmick not meaning that it was like bad or, like really her trying to sell, just me distinctively positioning these 3 albums in my brain. So, yeah, For All We Know was more of her like showcasing, like what she sounds like, plus like production choices and people behind her. Saturn felt like her taking a take on like a themed album. So again, relationships, love, whatever, but there's a theme here. And then we're at And Then Life Was Beautiful, which is another themed album, but it's just going in a different direction. So like this is her second like I'm on a theme. Like this album has a vibe. Like it is telling a story, but it also is on a particular theme vibe. Um, and again, I picked this album for one, just in case anybody really needs something to cling to, like with everything going on. We talked before the podcast about all of the things that have happened within just the past week in music news and people passing away. Rest in peace to Takeoff and DeVito's son, which both of those, or DeVito's son and Aaron Carter, all three of those were very crazy things to hear about and just know that they happened. But I chose this album to say that if there was something that you needed in the way that I needed it, like I needed something to just be a release or like a cleanse, this album is a good one because it's got some songs on there that aren't necessarily fully love based, but they're just relatable. And the way that she performs and the way that she sings, it's just very cleansing. And the album has a beauty to it. So even like the album cover is like her. She's got like a small little headpiece on and she's got a sunflower in her mouth. And like it's just like all of her album covers have been kind of they're basic in a way, but still very beautiful and distinct. Beautiful and distinct is also like the way that I would describe this album. I feel like I'm rambling, but I really wanted to talk about this album in the way that it could possibly help someone who just needed a cleanse. And again, if you're like looking for something to get you out of your regular music routine, like if you're not familiar with Neo, or if you are familiar and just forgot about this album, I feel like turning it on would be a good idea or a good thing to do. Now, AD, I'm going to let you give your thoughts, and then I'm going to talk about my favorite songs because I don't want to ramble
That's
anymore.
why I was going with this. It's
That's why I don't want to ramble anymore.
because I'm not too familiar with her body of work. You know, like we said before the pod, before recording, it's I've probably heard like this song of hers or whatnot, but I'm not like too familiar with her body with the body of work. So this was like really my first deep dive into herself, and from what I'm hearing, it's definitely like very uplifting, like you said. It's I like the because I have the. I'll say this before I go to throw to you about your favorites. I would
I have
definitely
favorites.
say
I have
I
favorites.
definitely would say that the features are very work very well with each other. Like Antidote with I would say was one of my favorites. Good Luck with Lucky Day is another one. Woman featuring Leanne La Havas. Is that group or is that an actual just solo
She's an
singer?
artist. She's a solo singer.
Wow, because it sounded like shit. It was
I mean, she
multiple.
plays guitar. She does normally, or yeah, she like can play guitar, but um,
Because it
Leon
sounded
Live
like
is
three.
like
It
the
sounded
artist.
three. It sounded three like there was three distinctive voices.
I play that song a lot, but I don't. Maybe. I mean, I know for a fact that Leon and Nao, like they're individual singers. But maybe they had somebody on background. I'd have to
Mm,
look.
it just sounded like to me. But it was very. I would say it's definitely a vibe. Very. If I had to put it, it's a very nice vibe. To we're about to hit. Are we in fall? Because it's about to be winter in a couple of weeks.
I
But
mean,
I would say this.
it's fall for us. It's
It's
fall,
fall
and then
for.
it's winter for 2 months, and then it's summer again. So
I would say it's one of those like you said something to lift you up. But if I was saying like the best vibe, it's definitely like on the long drive.
oh yeah.
Like windows down. You know, just need just something to take you off your mind. It's a very easy listen.
Yeah. Um yeah, like easy and like you said, uplifting. And for me, it just was able to like put me in a place to be able to ground me. Like it was definitely very grounding. Um, Also at the time of recording, it's a full moon and we just had a lunar eclipse. So there was a lot of like, I chose this album a couple weeks ago, but tonight
There's
it
a
just felt
lot of shit going
yeah,
on.
there's a lot of shit
Okay.
going on. But if to me, it finally feels like because I listened to the album again today, and it finally feels like listening to it again made me like kind of get some calmness. So all of the features on the album are good. So Antidote, that's I want to say one of the singles. I think there might have been multiple singles from the album. Antidote is featuring Adekunle Gold. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I love that
I
song.
was
I mean,
about
it's
to
a
say I
single.
can't pronounce that first name to save my life.
I'm gonna attempt. So if it's wrong, I'm sorry. Good Luck featuring Lucky Day. Lucky Day has not I mean, it's Lucky Day. Lucky Day has not missed on a feature. Like, first of all, we know Candy Drip was lit, but duh, whatever. But
Except for the album cover, but I digress.
you're a hater. You're a hater. But even his features, he has not missed. Like, there's never a bad Lucky Day feature. Like, so also I'm gonna talk about Smino, by the way. I know sidetrack, but I'm gonna get all of these things out. But the Lucky Day feature on Smino's album, okay, yes, he hasn't missed. Point being, so then, um, the next feature on the album is the Leon Lahavas, so Woman featuring Leon Lahavas, and then Postcards with Serpent with Feet. Like every feature, I love albums that have minimal features, and every feature, like it's like they take up space, they slap, like there's not too many of them. The artists are, it's like they're hand picked. The songs make sense. There's enough like, no feature songs in between in the context of the album. Like I love albums like that. So, um, my favorite song that isn't a single and doesn't have a feature on it, because again, I mean, the Antidote's good, all of the features are good. All the songs with features are good. So I'm going to skip over those because those are easy. The next song that I love so much is Burnout. So Burnout is literally a song about what it's talking about, like burning out, like being overwhelmed. It's good. It's a good grounding song to help you get together. And the way she sings it is just chef's kiss. And the production on this album, like I have a hard time articulating what her production sounds like. But it's cohesive, and it fits in, like in all of her albums, it fits in very perfectly with her voice. So Burnout is one of my favorites. Wait comes right after it, another one. And then the end of it, so yeah, I'm just gonna say both of them. Little Giants and Amazing Grace. So these are the two songs at the end of the album. They are perfect closers to the album. Um, I don't want to talk too much about them because I really just want you guys to listen to them. But just know that Little Giants and Amazing Grace, they're like, like weepy a little bit, like tears in your eyes. You're at the end of the album, like pulling yourself up together. Like those are the songs that when you need to feel like warmth and uplifted, those are two really good songs. And if I were still in the business of making playlists, which I may do at some point, maybe, they would be on there in like a warm, fuzzy feeling type. But that's why you need to listen to the whole album. So again, actually, I think I'm gonna name this podcast Candace Making a Case for Albums. Like I feel like I always am just like, go like what I feel like I'm arguing the album, like I am the what is it, the defense for the album. Just go listen to it. Like I don't want to have to argue. Why I shouldn't have to yell at you about this. Like just go listen to it because it's really
Well,
good. I
because
promise.
albums are becoming a lost art, but because
But please, like, and honestly, listening to them, and I don't know if I'm just like an old fart, but like listening to albums has been so much better lately. Like, I've just been pleased with listening to full bodies of work. Now, you know what? Caveat, Now, if I'm like, if people are DJing is the only time I'm like, I don't give a shit, you know, like I don't need to, obviously, I don't need to hear like an album and a DJ set. But that's why I miss DJs and I want more DJs, and that will spin me down a rabbit hole about the scene in Colombia. But that's the only time that I don't give a shit about like cohesion in music, obviously, because it's a fucking DJ set. But
It's, you
otherwise,
see, and you see, you just opened,
no,
you
no,
just
we're not. We
open.
can hold it. We can hold it because like I just
Look,
I
all I'm gonna say
miss.
is this: there's good DJs
I mean, obviously,
and there's
there's
bad
terrible
DJs.
DJs. Yeah. Oh yeah. But I just miss. I even miss the part of the parallelogram when DJs were showcasing. You know, because obviously they didn't have anywhere else to be. Like, can y'all come back to like doing sets on like Twitch and YouTube? Like,
No,
because
no, you
why?
you already know why.
Why? I mean, like on a Tuesday. I'm not talking about like on their days, like on their big days where they would be out in the
No,
places.
no, no, no. Oh, I'll say this. Okay,
I mean, yeah, you're saying like copyrighted music, but like
I'll say this. It is there's one DJ that does it for dancehall and reggae, which
on
is
Twitch or something.
he does it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he does it, and I think it's because it's a. I think he clearly states this is just blend. This isn't for buying
Well, you
purposes
can't
or
get paid for it. I think like you can't make money off of it. I
I
think.
it's I don't know how that works, right? But like I've like for him personally, I think his name is DJ Rob Ryder. I'll find it, right. But me personally, that's a good DJ
Mm-hmm.
because it's a vibe. It's
Right.
it makes the stuff that he puts together. I'm like, oh, I never heard this before. I want to go on more and just how to me a good DJ makes you get lost in the music for however long. So if it's an hour long set, it shouldn't feel like an hour long. Now there's others that are just that don't have the ear and just fall into the tropes and the traps. And but that's again that's
Yeah,
a
heavy,
conversation.
heavy, heavy Negro side. I'm just asking the DJs, like, again, not on your busy days. I'm not asking you to come to Twitch on a Saturday. That's just unfair. Like, go DJ, obviously, in the streets. But, like, please, please, God, like, please come back because I'm so tired of these playlist ass DJs or these just like play the top hits ass DJs. Like, what? Anyways, I don't want to end
That's
on a
how they
bad
get them.
note.
That's how they get their money.
I don't want to end on a bad note. So again, I'm just gonna say, please go listen to Neo's and Then Life Was Beautiful. It's very beautiful. Um, we are keeping it pretty short tonight because we need to, and it's a lunar eclipse and life's crazy. So no new noise because I'm asking you nicely to go listen to that album. And then we will be back on our regular schedule for
Eh,
our
eh,
episode.
Actually,
Maybe,
looking at
hopefully,
maybe, hopefully, it may be
possibly we if
Tuesdays may be the day.
uh,
But
if we aren't back on our regular schedule, there will be something. We've been doing pretty good at still keeping our episodes very consistent, so that will be news. I'm not going to
oh,
promise that I'm going to write anymore. Like I've been promising, I'm going to write something. I am going to start writing newsletters. Like those will come back out again at some cadence that we'll figure out, but uh keep your eyes posted for those. Because as we were saying earlier in the podcast episode, since social media is going down, I do still need to be able to talk and communicate in a way that isn't social media. Um, and I have and pay for a whole website that is costing me lots of dollars and cents. So using the newsletter and then obviously keeping things on the website is how we'll communicate. Like it seems, I don't even want to say it seems archaic. We used to do it, so we can do it again. Like we don't have to talk on Twitter. It's fine. But yeah, that's the housekeeping. I'll be also working on more Ko-fi things. So like if you're liking what you hear and want to leave a tip for the expensive website and all the things that's keeping up over here and like the hosting service and all that stuff, you can do that. I'll be working more on it soon. And yeah, that's everything. Promise. That's all the housekeeping stuff. AD, any last things from you?
Nothing on my end. I'll definitely have a lot to catch up on, which yeah, we talked about this. There's some discovery, there's some homework that's going to be coming down the pipeline, but another idea that would give I think it'll be fun for everybody that would listen and allows just to get a little bit more to our journeys. That's all I'll say about that.
I'm excited for new ideas, and I like having new ideas leading up into the new year because it's November somehow. Somehow it's November. So, but yes, thank you everybody for listening. This has been the BINACT podcast where we talk music, the people that make it, and the communities that listen to it. See you, hear you, love you, whatever in the next couple weeks, and we'll be talking to you soon. Bye.